Hi everyone, welcome to the Fundamentals of Corporate Finance Make It Clear series. This video is a beginner's guide to using BA2 Plus to tackle time value of money questions. Many newcomers to corporate finance would buy BA2 Plus to help their studies and learn the calculator steps directly from the calculator manual. It is definitely a good thing to have a BA2 Plus on hand, as it will speed up your calculations. But as far as time value of money is concerned, it is not good to follow the steps shown in the calculator manual because those steps are not efficient. It is the reason why I make this video to show you the more efficient steps that you should use in tackling time value of money questions and other points that you need to note in using the calculator. These are the keys that we are going to use to tackle any time value of money questions. FV is future value, PMT is cash flow per period. We will use it only for annuity questions. PV is present value. IY is supposedly the interest rate per year in BA2 Plus, but we'll use this key to enter or calculate interest rate per period, no matter how a period is defined. If we use it strictly to enter interest rate per year, just as what the calculator manual does, we will have to enter the payment frequency separately in order to calculate the period rate. It is one of the reasons why the steps shown in the calculator manual are less efficient. In the final part of this video, I will use an example to contrast my calculator steps with those from the calculator manual so that you can appreciate their differences. Lastly, N is the total number of periods. It can be the number of compounding periods or payment periods. Above these 5 keys, we have the second functions of these keys, which may also be useful in time value of money calculations. They are called second functions because they can be accessed by pressing this second key, followed by one of these 5 keys. But in our steps, I rarely use them, and therefore I will talk about them only when necessary. There are 2 main types of time value of money questions. The first is simple FV and PV questions, which are finding the future value or present value of a single sum of money. The second is annuity FV and PV questions, which are finding the future value or present value of an ordinary annuity or annuity deal. We have the familiar equations for simple FV and PV and annuity FV and PV here. They highlight one important point. In each of the equation, there are just 4 variables. And so for most of the time value of money questions that we are solving with BA2 Plus, we just need to enter the values of any 3 of them. Then we will get the value of the 4th one. Before we go straight to the examples, let me remind you that whenever we perform any new calculation, we should always press these 3 keys first: second, minus, and enter, after which we will have this on the calculator display. This step clears the display, memories, unfinished calculations, and worksheet data entered before. It also restores all the default settings to the calculator. One reason for doing this is that, very often, our calculation errors are stemming from the fact that the calculator is mixing up the new data with the uncleared data or calculations from the past. That's why it is a good habit to clear everything from the past before we start a new calculation. Moreover, by restoring all the default settings, it ensures that PY and CY equal to 1. These are the payment frequency and interest compound frequency in a year in BA2 Plus respectively, with default values at 1. If they are set at other values accidentally, then our steps would come up with wrong answers. Now we are ready to learn how to solve simple FV and PV questions with BA2 Plus. Example 1 is about finding the FV of a sum of money. You have just contributed $6,000 into your retirement account. Assume the rate of return is 6% per year with monthly compounding. What is the future value of this $6,000 when you retire in 40 years? It is a simple FV question. We just need to enter the values of PV, period rate, and the number of compounding period. Then we'll get the FV. PV is the $6,000 that we have just contributed. But here we'll enter PV equal to negative $6,000, as this contribution is a cash outflow to us. The principle is that if the amount is a cash inflow, we will enter a positive amount, otherwise we will enter a negative amount. To enter PV equal to negative 6,000, we press 6000 minus and PV. Then period rate is 0.5%. because the annual rate of return is 6% and the compound frequency is monthly. So it is equal to 6% divided by 12. It is 0.5%. To enter this period rate, we press 0.5 IY. We don't need to enter the percentage sign. Compounding period is 480 because we have 40 years to go and compound frequency is monthly. So it is equal to 12 times 40 and it is equal to 480. To enter this number, we press 4x0n. We have entered all the necessary inputs. Then we press CPT and FV to find the future value of this question, which is equal to about $65,000. Example 2 is about finding the rate of return in a simple FV and PV setting. You bought a pair of Air Jordan sneakers 12 years ago for $100. You did not wear them and keep them at good condition. Now the sneakers are worth $900. What is the implied rate of return per annum? In this simple FV and PV setting, we just need to enter FV, PV, and the number of compounding periods, then we can find this rate of return. PV is equal to negative 100. Don't forget to enter this as a negative amount, otherwise we will come up with error when finding the rate of return. FV is equal to $900, N is equal to 12 as there are 12 years to go, and the question does not mention the compound frequency, and so we'll assume it to be 1 automatically. Just follow these steps to enter these values, after which we press CPT and IY. We'll get the rate of return, which is 20.09% per annum. It is an annual rate because we have entered N equal to 12. It means we have defined one period equal to 1 year, and so the resulting period rate will be an annual rate accordingly. We have learned the basic calculator steps for tackling simple FV and PV questions. Now let us work on some examples of annuity questions. Example 3 is about finding the FV of an ordinary annuity. At the end of each month, you will contribute $300 to your retirement account until you retire in 45 years. If investment return is 6% per annum, find the account balance at your retirement. As we are making $300 contribution each month, so PMT is equal to negative 300. As investment return is 6% and the contributions are monthly, and so IY is equal to 6 divided by 12, and so it is equal to 0.5. As we have 45 years to go and monthly contributions, and so the number of payment periods will be 12 times 45, and so it is equal to 540. We press these keys to enter these three values, after which we press CPT and FV. We can find that the future value of the monthly contributions is about $826,000. Example 4 is about finding the periodic cash flow in an annuity. In the coming year, you plan to deposit a certain sum of money at a bank account each month, with the goal of having $8,000 at year end. If interest rate is 3% per annum, how much you need to deposit each month? As we want to have $8,000 a year later, so FV is equal to 8,000. As interest rate is 3% per annum with monthly payment, so IY is equal to 3 divided by 12, so it is equal to 0.25. As we are going to make our deposits every month in the coming 12 months, and so N is equal to 12. We press these keys to enter these values, after which we press CPT and PMT. We can find that the monthly deposit amount will be around $657. Example 5 is about finding the PV of an ordinary annuity. We need a 20-year fixed-rate mortgage loan to buy a property. Mortgage rate is 3% per annum with monthly payment. But we can only afford to pay $2,000 per month. How much we can borrow at most? As we can only afford $2,000 per month, so PMT is equal to negative 2,000. As interest rate is 3% per annum with monthly payment, and so IY is equal to 3 divided by 12, so it is equal to 0.25. As it is a 20-year loan, so the total number of payment periods will be 12 times 20, so it is equal to 240. We press these keys to enter these values, after which we press CPT and PV, so that we can find that the maximum loan amount that we can borrow is about $360,000. Example 6 is basically the same as example 5, except that right now the loan payment is made at the beginning of every month. So the loan payments become an annuity due, and we are finding the PV of an annuity due in this question. To find this amount, we make use of this equation. The present value of an annuity due is equal to the present value of an ordinary annuity times 1 plus the period rate. In other words, to find the PV of an annuity due, we find the PV of an ordinary annuity first, and then multiply it by 1 plus period rate. So the first 4 calculated steps for example 6 are exactly the same as example 5, which generates the loan amount on assumption that the loan payments are made at the end of each month. Then in the last step, we multiply the PV by 1 plus the period rate, that is 1.0025. It becomes the loan amount that we can borrow if we make the 2,000 loan payment at the beginning of each month. It is what happens if we follow the steps shown in the calculator manual to tackle example 6. If we compare these steps with ours, then you can see that ours are fewer and therefore more efficient. As I have mentioned, one reason for the less efficient steps for the calculator manual is that the calculator manual treats IY as annual interest rate, and so it would need to enter payment frequency from the very beginning in order to find the period rate. We don't do this as we enter the period rate directly. Another reason is that it will use the second function, BGN, to inform the calculator that the cash flows take place at the beginning of every month, and so the calculator PV will be the PV of an annuity due. Again, we don't do this because we just multiply 1 plus period rate to the PV of ordinary annuity to get the PV of an annuity due. Alright, that's all for this video. I hope that you will find it useful. Thanks for watching and see you next time.